gonna punch. He gonna really punch.
If I see a black person walking around with Trump mugshot, I'm gonna punch him in the face.
Charles.
No, Gail.
You really can't say that because A, you don't mean that.
I mean.
This right here was just flat out dumb. However, the thing is this right here. A lot of people are wondering why in the world did CNN force him to walk it back? Well, there's actually a much simpler answer to that question, which we will dive into in this video. However, we got a lot to get to before we get to the answer to that question, and also something else too. There's going to be a couple of updates at the very end of the video, so make sure you guys stick around. I promise you guys I'll be brief with that last section, but make sure you guys stick around because we got a good deal to go through. Guys, before we get started, let me play you the full quotation that got Charles Barkley in trouble. Let me go ahead and play this.
Yes. If I see a black person walking around with Trump mugshot, I'm gonna punch him in the face.
Charles.
No, Gail.
You really can't say that because A, you don't mean that.
I mean that sincerely. I'm gonna just tell you something.
And then you will be arrested for assault. And then what?
I'm gonna bail myself out and go celebrate. If I
don't encourage him. Don't encourage him. Okay, but go ahead.
Seriously.
Continue.
First of all, if I was at that
conference, yeah.
I'd have got up and walked out. That was an insult to all black people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so basically telling anybody that's black who's wearing the Trump shirt, the mugshot shirt, or even buying the Trump shoes is going to warrant a punch in the face from you. Let me just go ahead and say this really quick. When it comes to Charles Barkley, nothing he says surprises me because, quite frankly, Charles Barkley has been saying all kinds of crazy stuff for years. However, I do have a way of rationalizing all this. You see, anytime Charles Barkley speaks or anytime he gets on camera, I just automatically think to myself, he's Michael Jordan's bitch. That's the truth about Charles Barkley. He was always Michael Jordan's bitch. And I always felt that Charles was somewhat overrated to a certain degree. Don't get me wrong, he was a good basketball player, very good basketball player. But I think he's more famous for the stuff that he says nowadays. And, of course, the fact that he's an analyst on TNT, which will come up more so towards the end of the video. So make sure you guys pay attention to it all the way through because we obviously have a lot to go through. So why in the world did Charles Barkley say this, and why am I just now getting to this video? Well, the real reason why I'm getting this video is because a lot of people out there are wondering why in the world he was forced to walk it back. Okay, so what prompted the original comments? Well, this.
Yeah. And you know who embraced it more than anybody else? The black population. It's incredible. You see black people walking around with my mugshot. You know, they do shirts.
Now, it is true that former President Trump is getting a lot more black support. He said what he said at an event in South Carolina, and of course he brought up the fact that his mugshot is on a T-shirt, and of course a lot of black people are wearing it. Now, the former president, and you guys know where I stand on the former president, is could be quoting two different things. Either A, people are wearing the shirt in celebration, meaning that he is got a mugshot, and of course they think he's going to go to prison, even though the media is kind of already black-pilled and lied to their audience on that one. I'll talk more about that as we go further in this video. And also to go on top of this, there are a lot of people out there who think that, hey, look, I'm going to wear the mugshot because he's the baddest man alive. You basically turn him into Tupac, which is something we warned you guys about a long time ago. But when Charles Barkley then turns around and talks about things that the president got in trouble for, as I'm about to play for you guys here in a second, and also something else too is that in this little section I'm about to show you, this is actually what Charles probably should have said to begin with, because this is actually the real truth of the situation. Let me roll this.
And obviously, I'm only speaking for myself. The reason I think the Democratic Party and Mr. Biden, President Biden, is losing black votes is they only care about black people every 4 years. Mm-hmm. They come into our neighborhoods and say, we're going to make stuff better. We're going to do this, do this, do this. And then finally, us black people are like, man, other than my ability to dunk a basketball, all my neighborhoods are still the same. Our schools are still the same. And that's why I think black people are leaving disappointed in the Democratic Party, because I ain't gonna lie, I voted Democratic every time just because I thought it was gonna help black people and poor people. Because black people and poor white people, they're in the same boat. And I didn't care who the president was, I'm not gonna lie, but I only voted Republican one time in my life, and that was for John Kasich, and I didn't even know he couldn't win. But then I'm starting to look like, man, I understand why black people are leaving want to vote for somebody else, because every 4 years they come into our neighborhoods and say, man, we're going to make things better for you.
So now let's play Charles's somewhat apology.
That was just you making a point. That's not something you would literally do going around attacking people, right?
Well, let me say, is this my camera right there? I want to make sure people can hear me.
Yeah.
Number one, obviously, I'm not gonna go around punching random strangers in the face, first and foremost. Secondly, people can vote for who they want to.
Yes.
People can vote for who they want to. The point I was trying to make.
There you go.
No, the point I was making. I wasn't trying to make it.
Okay.
When Donald Trump compares his plight with that of the black person, that is what I had a problem with. Now, I do want to say this. I want to make it perfectly clear. If you're a black person and you're wearing a Donald Trump mugshot, you are a freaking idiot. And I'm only saying freaking idiot because they won't let me say what I really want to say. But you can figure it out. It starts with an F. But you are. Listen.
The thing about the shirts, I'm showing you guys photos of Mike Tyson, and I'm showing you guys this other photo. It doesn't seem to me like these guys are not swole. You see what I'm saying? It seems to me like these right here are not mediums. It seems to me like these are shirts that I'm just going to say that they don't look to me like, it doesn't look to me like these guys are trying to make themselves look bigger. They look to me like they are actually kind of ripped. Of course, there are some people out there who do wear shirts a little bit too small to make themselves look more and more muscular. Conor McGregor does it like crazy, but still though, at the same time though, just really kind of a dumb comment.
And vote for who they want to.
Yes.
But for him to compare his plight with that other African, I don't even like that term, the black people in America is asinine and stupid. And like I said, you guys can put on those too small T-shirts like y'all got them on. Get a big size if you're going to wear it. Don't put on a medium and act like you got muscles. But
it doesn't seem to me like that was an actual full-throated apology, and he didn't seem to fully take it back. But still, at the same time, though, it was a Saturday night on CNN. Nobody's really watching, but still, though, there are ramifications, and the ramifications is something I'll be explaining a little bit more so towards the end. But the thing about Charles Barkley, as I've said before, is that he's not really somebody that people really and truly take seriously. This is the same guy who a while back was giving Shaquille O'Neal hell, saying that Shaquille O'Neal rode Kobe Bryant for his 3 rings. And while that may be somewhat true, Kobe would not have had those first 3 rings in LA if Shaq had not been a part of the team. Yes, it's true. Kobe Bryant would win 2 more rings playing with the Lakers with Pau Gasol. And that, like I said, it's very, very true. But still, though, those first 3 rings probably don't come to him if Shaquille O'Neal is not there, or he doesn't win them as cleanly as he did. Like I said before, Charles Barkley says all kinds of crazy stuff, but of course there are people out there who did, in fact, get upset about this and voice their opinions.
It dawned on me that man Barkley said that he gonna really punch a Trump supporter in the face for a hat. Well, Barkley, how about a shirt, baby? Come on. I quadruple dog dare you to punch me in the face for my Trump shirt, sir. Go ahead. I'll even pucker the chin up for you. Shut your goofy ass up. You know damn well you ain't gonna do shit.
Oh, when he says that the president did it to himself and that black people just get locked up for stuff they didn't do, that's obviously him trying to play to the crowd and say, look, you guys are all innocent. Never mind bringing up crime statistics, never bringing up the fact that, yes, there probably are circumstances where blacks are getting locked up for things that they may be getting overcharged for, but still at the same time, though, there are also instances where they are getting exactly what it is that they did, meaning that they're getting locked up exactly for the crime that they did do. Same thing happens to whites, same thing happens to Hispanics, and obviously there are times when some people get overcharged or they go to prison for something stupid, but still at the same time, given the fact that ever since, I'd say right around 2014, 2015, when the whole online thing really picked up, you see a lot of instances where people try to resist arrest and then they get shot or whatnot, trying to get away, or like a situation in Atlanta where a guy grabbed a taser and pointed it back at law enforcement, where law enforcement is then allowed to shoot you for pointing that weapon in the direction. Stuff like that there. George Floyd, of course, never mind the fact that he actually held a pregnant woman at gunpoint, even though I know that was obviously too much. But then again, though, if you watch that video, The Fall of Minneapolis, there's a lot to go through there. We all know about this, okay? We do videos every day debunking and even agreeing with the narrative out there sometimes, or agreeing with some of the narrative, and of course also debunking the narrative, because the mainstream media doesn't exactly have a great track record of telling us the full truth or giving us the full picture on things. We already know this. So when he brings up something like black plight, I need you guys to understand something right now. Trust me, people understand. Of course, a lot of people all at the exact same time also think it's a little bit overrated, but of course the truth is always somewhere in the middle. It just so happens to be that more times than not, that when people get arrested for certain things, chances are when they do get locked up, they're found guilty. Chances are they were in fact guilty. While sometimes it's true that some people get locked up for things that quite frankly they should not get locked up for, the numbers and what we see tends to contradict that heavily. But still, though, speaking of the former president and things that he did, well, we already know about that date, that little insurrection crap that people keep on bringing up over and over again because, quite frankly, they've got nothing else to talk about. Don't worry. I will link this video right here in the description box. I think Mentis Wave did a very, very good job of breaking this entire situation down. And given the fact that there's this thing called the internet, there's this thing called Twitter, now Elon Musk runs it, now he owns it, and of course, a lot of the videos from that day contradicts a lot of what the mainstream media narrative is. Also, something else too, the former president has not actually been charged with insurrection. It's actually very hard to define, believe it or not, but still though, he hasn't actually been charged for it, so therefore you can't actually say that he's guilty of it yet. Of course, there's also that first impeachment, you know, the whole quid pro quo, even though the former president didn't do anything that was illegal, but I can think of somebody who did do something illegal.
12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, I'm not going to, or we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid.
I just figured I'd toss that in there. So the guy that Charles Barkley voted for, obviously, but still, to go on top of this, why it is that Charles just couldn't have talked about the fact that black voters are going somewhere else, that they're looking somewhere else, that they're looking at the other party, they're looking at former President Trump, especially given the fact that the vast majority of America's largest cities are ran by Democrats, not just by the mayors, but the city councils, the blue states. A lot of people don't seem to realize this, but about half the black population lives south of the Mason-Dixon line, stretching from Delaware all the way down to Florida, all the way out to Texas. And of course, the other half typically tends to live inside the inner cities of America, places like New York, Chicago, LA, San Francisco, Minneapolis. Yeah, those places there, Philadelphia, Boston. And of course, all these places are ran by Democrats, top to bottom. From the mayor all the way down to the city council, all the way to the alderman. You got the highest abortion rate in the country. You got the highest crime rate in the country, the highest murder rate in the country. Black women have got the highest sexually transmitted disease rate in the country. Also, 4 in 5 black women are obese. These aren't good prospects. Did you ever possibly think that maybe the way you vote could influence some of this? I understand that somebody's going to say obesity doesn't really matter, but when you actually look at the overall picture, it kind of does, especially in these places that are very, very blue, that are almost like plantations themselves. But of course, if we talk about this, YouTube will say that we violated their terms of service. Don't worry, there'll be a video out on BRT. I've already done one, but I got to re-update that one, especially given the migrant crisis, which is also sending black voters to the Republican Party as well. So good job. I'm being facetious, by the way. But then you get to the whole aspect of what he said and how people really and truly feel about it. Well, let me play this for you guys, and we'll come back on the other end, and we'll talk, obviously, a little bit more about this, because what's the real reason why it is that CNN decided to make Charles Barkley walk back his comments?
Charles Barkley vowing to punch any black person wearing Trump's mugshot. Watch this.
If I see a black person walking around with Trump mugshot, I'm going to punch him in the face.
Charles.
No, Gail.
Charles.
Gail.
You really can't say that.
So, Judge, I'm old enough to remember, I think last week, where we had a whole segment about how much everyone loves Charles Barkley. Have you changed your mind now?
No, you know why? Isn't he the one who said that if they had that All-Star game or whatever it was, that you'd have to wear a Kevlar vest if you wanted to be in Los Angeles because it's so dangerous because of Biden and the Democrats and Newsom? But I'll stop there. You know what I'd like? I would like Tyrus to put on a Donald Trump shirt, and I'd like to see Barkley knock out Tyrus. Ain't gonna happen.
Hummer?
You know, I like Barkley. I mean, I think he's a nice guy, but I think he's just looking for ratings because I don't know anyone watching CNN on a Saturday night. And that's a brand new show, and I'm not so sure anybody's.
Well, no one's watching it because they don't like what they're seeing.
I don't think.
I think that Charles needs to start holding Gail's hand when he's about to say something that is a problem, and then it'll get better.
The Jesse method?
Sure. Every time I see a white Biden supporter with a Biden hat, I want to punch them in the face, but I never see any people wearing Biden stuff.
Same with black people wearing Trump's mugshot, so you're even.
Oh, I've seen about 3 of them.
Yeah.
I gave him a high five.
Okay.
He came off looking like a complete total moron is basically what happened. Look, like I said before, nothing that Charles Barkley says needs to be taken serious because he says crazy stuff all the time. It's just kind of who he is. And of course, what Jesse Waters was saying there about Trump's mugshot being on T-shirts, yeah. We understand that, and we understand that obviously Trump is empathizing with black voters, and black voters are beginning to empathize with Donald Trump. The thing is this right here. I don't think the former president actually cares what somebody like Charles Barkley says. However, there are obviously a lot of people who do, in fact, care about what Charles said, especially given the fact that he said that he was going to punch them in the face for wearing the Trump shirt or the Trump sneakers if he ever ran into them, which, by the way, Charles won't do. But still, though, given the fact that you've got Mike Tyson wearing the Trump shirt while he's working out, of course, he's about to fight Jake Paul on July the 27th. It's going to be very interesting there, too. I'm kind of rooting for Mike to win. I think he might be able to pull it off. But still, though, that may be wishful thinking. We'll talk more about that when we get closer to it. It'll be a specialty video. And, of course, given the fact that, that Charles Barkley had to mention that there were guys who were obviously buying mediums and they were wearing T-shirts that were too small for them to make them look swole, a lot like Conor McGregor does. But still, though, some of these photos that I've seen, these guys don't look to me like they're not swole. By the way, what Trump said at that event in South Carolina, most of these people actually laughed at it. I'll link the full thing in the description box because I advise you guys watch the whole thing and not just the soundbite that I played for you guys. And, of course, Democrat Congressman Wesley Hunt also at the same time confirmed that. Byron Donalds confirmed that. Yeah, these were all black Republican congressmen who confirmed that what the former president said actually made people laugh. They actually thought it was funny. And, of course, they didn't take offense to it at all in South Carolina, where there is a heavy black population. I know it's taken a while to get to this, but let's go ahead and just kind of break down why it is that CNN would want Charles Barkley to walk this comment back. Okay, so Charles Barkley is an NBA analyst, former player, and, of course, him being an NBA analyst on TNT, that garners a lot of the NBA's viewership, especially seeing how it is that we're about to head into the playoffs. I know it's March, and you've got March Madness coming up for the NCAA, which could, of course, spark another Dylan Mulvaney situation. We'll see what happens. But still, though, you've got the playoffs. You've got teams trying to get into the playoffs. So, obviously, Charles Barkley is going to get a lot more exposure over the next 6 to 8 weeks. Probably more so over the next few months because the NBA playoffs goes into the spring and the summer. The thing is this right here. He's on TNT. TNT is a Turner network that's still connected to CNN. Charles Barkley's officially a employee for CNN and Turner Network Television. Don't you think maybe it's possible that maybe some of those conservative black voters may watch basketball too? Don't you think maybe it's possible that maybe some of those viewers may be like, man, screw Charles Barkley, screw him. We just don't want to look at this. I mean, you can always cut the game off or change the channel at halftime. You can always change the game during the pregame show. But still, at the same time, though, that right there could be a reason why it is that CNN had him retract his statement or kind of come back on. I know that there's the whole anti-white agenda, but at the same time, though, when a good portion of your viewers are black, it's not a good idea to just up and piss them off and say that you, quite frankly, cannot vote the way you want to vote. I mean, he basically said it, I kind of glossed over this before, that black voters are looking for another party to vote for. They're looking to the Republican Party at this moment in time because they see Democrat politicians and the Democratic Party failing them at large. I'm just throwing it out there as a possibility that maybe CNN wanted to do this, but seeing how it is that the ratings for that show are actually very low, I don't think Charles is going to last too much longer, probably on both networks, but we'll see. Guys, I'm going to end this video with a couple of quick updates, but let me just go ahead and say this. Where obviously this right here was stupid by Charles, but also one more thing too. I just wouldn't take anything that Charles Barkley says seriously because he's really not a serious person when you actually sit there and think about it. But still, though, at the same time, let me give you guys a couple of quick updates. The Rumble channel is up, but I'm still kind of deciding what I want to do with that, seeing how it is that we're going to be going to video essays this year, probably in the next few weeks. I'm hoping to go ahead and start that trend in the next week or two. I was hoping to do it this week with the black pill video, but I'm probably going to do a video a lot like what I'm doing now, explaining black pills. That'll probably come out on Sunday, give you guys a better overall, just a better overall explanation of what it really and truly is. They've tried to reassociate it with the incel crap, but in reality, black pill is something that's actually been around for much, much longer than the online craze. Something else, too, to consider is that this weekend is going to have a lot of content. Like, for example, the video that I have on gangs is going to be out. There's going to be a video out on Girishi 33 talking about why it is that the left hates the military and that they just proved it once again. With this recent controversy, there's going to be 2 separate versions of the video. I'm going to be releasing one version of that video tomorrow to go along with this one here. It's about the iconic V-Day photo from World War II. Yeah, apparently somebody at the VA, the deputy secretary, wanted that photo removed. And of course, the actual secretary of the VA said no to that, completely crap canned it. But we'll be talking about that tomorrow to go along with this video here too. And of course, the gang video and of course, the black pill video. And there may be one more video to come out. And I'm thinking about the whole Sean Strickland situation because, yeah, he said some very stupid stuff, but obviously somebody else said some very stupid stuff in return. But we'll be covering all that this weekend. So make sure you guys stick around for that. So please tell me what you think about what Mr. Barkley said. Please tell me if you think he's just an idiot or if he should have taken back his statement or if he should have just left it out there. Please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sound off in the comment section, and I'll see you guys later.